Are you still worried about your emails that goes to the spam folder when you do the cold email marketing? Have you tried any third-party email provider for cold campaigns and they shut down your account for a lot of bounces and spam reports? Then great, you will find the solution of these problems in this video. In this quick guide, I'll be covering how to warm up your SMTP IP and domains in order to send big number of cold emails. Okay, I have planned this video in multiple sections. Initially, we'll start with building some foundation about IP warm-up and SMTP servers, what are the factors that affect the reputation, and then we will move on to some practical hacks or practical tips that are needed to warm up the servers. Okay, first section will be covering what is the warm-up IP and why it's needed to warm up the IPs. Okay, and then there are some factors that affect the reputation either in the positive way, either in the negative way. We'll be discussing them. Then we will have some practical tips or hacks that we have learned so far, building the emailing system and then warming the server's IPs and then use them for mass emailing. Okay, then let's get started. Okay, now get started. What is IP warm-up? IP warming is a process of methodically adding email volume to a new IP address gradually over several days or weeks in order to establish a positive reputation with a mailbox provider. I intentionally said the word methodically because mailbox provider view emails from a new IP address as suspicious until they establish a positive sending reputation. It takes around 4 to 8 weeks to achieve the maximum deliverability. Okay, but don't worry, we'll be covering IP warm-up strategy in a while that will help us to increase the reputation earlier. Okay. Okay, now move on to the next section. In this section, we'll be covering what are the factors that really affect the reputation of the IPs or the domain of your server. Okay, the first factor that really influence is the spam complaint. So when you send a complaint to your recipient, then there is an option right there for the recipient to do abuse report to your complaint. So that factor really badly affect the reputation of your IP or domain. Okay, so you need to make sure that the leads that you're using are relevant to your content or your niche. All the content that you are creating that should be targeted to your niche. Otherwise, if you're sending the irrelevant content to the leads that you have, then they probably mark you as a spam complaint. Secondly, in order to avoid the spam complaint, you can also add unsubscribe tag at the bottom of each email so that you could give some people a backdoor if they don't want to receive your email in the future. Okay, so the second factor is the invalid email addresses. So in the email terms, we call them hard bounces. When you send a campaign and your email is invalid, then the email server, then that email will be bounced back and it really affect the reputation of your server. So in order to avoid it, you need to clean up this list. There are a lot of email verification or validation tools available in the market. You can use it. I will share one or two the free software that we use for cleaning up the list, and it worked really well. Okay, it's your choice. You can use a third-party tool or you can use the desktop-based software that I recommend. Okay, now the third part is this. Usually some emails are the spams. People use some spam with the emails addresses. So usually when you verify or validate the email list, then this factor is also minimized. The fourth one is the authentication. So you need to verify that all the records that validate your domain or IP should be properly authenticated. Some of the records are SPF, DKIM, DMRC. You can just go to the Google and type SPF record generator TKIM, record generator, and the same for the rest of them. Then it will, there are multiple websites available. You just have to add your domain or subdomain and IP in order to create the records, and then you can use the records in your DNS of your domain. Okay. If you want me to add or create a quick video on them, I will create a separate video on how to authenticate the SPF records or some records. Another record is the RDNS. That's very important for using the domain for the sending purposes. You need to make sure that your server provider do allow you to send emails first, and secondly, they do allow you to add the RDNS on the server side. Okay, third-party blacklisting. There are some third-party companies, blacklisted companies that are very alert when you start sending emails, and they eventually blacklist your IP or domain when you do the spamming or when you get a lot of complaint. So you need to keep on checking your domain and IP reputation using these blacklisted. Either you are blacklisted or not, and then if you are blacklisted, you need to contact the companies, and then they will eventually put down your domain, or if they don't, then you have to dump the IP. So this is one of the service, bulk email list. You can add your IPs and click on bulk check, and then it will show you the status. Moreover, it also tells you the sending score built over time. Once you do the warm-up procedure, then the sending score keep on increasing, and it really be helpful for reaching to the inbox of your recipient. Then the engagement is the last factor. In the engagement, there are multiple things that come under it. One of them is the opens. When you send a campaign, then how many people who open your email, how many people who click the link inside your email, how many people who reply back, how many people who mark you as important. So these are the engagement factor is very important in order to boost up your reputation. So that's why when I will cover the last section, then I will also tell you how you can do the engagement, increase the engagement via the automated warm-up processes or using the seed list that you will be creating. Okay, so these are all the 6 factors that really affect the reputation, and your main goal is to minimize all the factors that negatively affect your reputation, and all the factors that enhance your reputation, you need to increase the factor. Okay, now move on to the next part of it. So here we'll be discussing what are the practical hacks that you need to do in order to do the warm-up of your servers. Okay, I prefer to use these 2 methods in parallel so that you could get maximum out of them. One method will not work alone. You need to follow both methods in parallel. Okay, let me just go through one by one, both of them. Okay, the first one is automated warm-up using AI software. So there are a lot of warm-up tools available in the market that you need to use with your server in order to get maximum result. Here's a quick process overview how these AI bot work. They have their email database, and these email database have Gmail, Yahoo, or different email addresses that they keep on creating, and the AI bot have an access to these inboxes. So when an email is sent from your server, okay, then their AI bot open the email, click the link inside it, and then they reply it back. Okay, so the only thing that you have to do, you have to connect your SMTP server with their application and set the schedule. And after that, this software will, this application will work on their own, and it will give you a quick preview of everything on the screen of the dashboard, where you can take a look on everything, on how many emails sent per day and what's the stats of the emails. Okay, so you can get a better overview of your reputation. This is the first method that you can follow. These are some providers in the market that are very good in that business. That I have personally tried these 3 of them, and they give a very better result to me. The first one, warmup inbox, is very cheap. You can test it out, their free trial, and then you can opt their subscription. And the rest of them are a bit expensive, but they all work in the same way. Okay, now move on to the second part. The first part has some drawbacks. We can only do that automated warm-up with a small number of emails that provider give us. So in that way, we don't have a flexibility to work in a bigger playground for warming up. So this is the second method, that's the manual warming procedure. This method will help us to warm up the server to the next level. Okay, so this method have two parts. One of them is the seed list. Okay, seed list procedure. Here you need to create seed list. Seed lists are your own email contacts that you create, and you have a full access for these lists. So you can create some high quality accounts, like you go to the Google, create an account, and you can create multiple accounts from a single number. There are some hacks available, like you can create an account, you add the number, and then you remove the number, add the recovery email, and the same for the Yahoo and all. Just initially we need around 30 to 35 email accounts that act as a seed list. So when you start the manual warm-up procedure, you send it to these contacts, and it will work, and then you open each email, click the link that you sent, you add in the email copy, and then it all work. It just gives some good repetition to your campaigns. The only purpose of doing the seed list in the manual process is we should have full control over the seed list, because it's our own list and we have the full control over it. We can create another list with a low quality seed list. It's a kind of a list that you have one email and you can create multiple email addresses from one list. Okay, there are some tools available where you just have to add your email, and it will create a multiple email for you. One of them that I can share with you is this software. Okay, generator.email. You just have to add your email. Make sure that the email that you're adding right now is your main email address that's already been created. So once you add it, then this software will generate a lot of email addresses, and these all email addresses work with the same inbox. Okay, you can also enable this option. So this is just a trick to create multiple variants of email, and the inbox, the software consider them as a multiple unique emails. Okay, now move on to the other part of the next part. The next part is the main list. Now that's the whole that's the most crucial part that you need to cover. You need to have a schedule for 4 to 6 weeks, and it all depends upon how many emails you want to send per month. Either it's, let's say you have a plan for 1 million emails per month, then you have to have a schedule for sending emails based on 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, probably 4 to 6 weeks are a better time, because you also add some retargeting campaigns with this schedule. If I can show you one of the schedule that I use for 1 million emails. So this is one of the schedule that I use for 1 million email. You can just keep on, you have an option like for the first day you'll be sending 40 emails. For the second day you're adding 40 more contacts to the first list, and then 19 more contacts to the main list, 25 more contacts to the main list, and then this is just an increment. Okay, so every day you're just adding these contacts to the main list, okay, your previous list. And after that you will have your email server warm up. Okay, so this is the manual process, and you need to keep track of all the progress, all the analytics, how many bounces you are getting, try to avoid the bounces. Try to use any software that automatically remove the blacklisted, all the bounces, or all the hard bounces from your main list, so that you will not keep on sending the same email to them. There's another method as well. That method is related to the manual process. For every day you are sending a unique message you are sending the same message to the unique contacts. Okay, on the day 1 you will be sending 40 emails to the 40 contacts. Day 2 you will be sending a unique email to the unique 54 contact. On the day 3 you will be sending 73 contacts, but these are not the duplication, these are the unique contacts. So every day you will be creating some list, and then these lists will have a unique email addresses. Okay, if you have a big database, then you can follow this. Otherwise you can use that increment method if you have a less number of contacts. Make sure that in that phase you will have few email copies available. Otherwise, if you use the same email copy again and again to the lead, then it might frustrate or fed up your recipients, because if they keep on receiving the same message, then it's not a good practice. Okay, so this is the manual process that you need to follow, and you will see after 3 to 4 weeks you keep on your server keep on getting some good repetition. And to check the repetition of your IP, I already have recommend you to use the software, this one, not this one, this one. Okay, you add your IPs there and click on bulk check IP, and it will check your IP repetition in all the blacklisted database available. Okay, secondly, you can also keep track your progress on the postmaster as well. It's very handy tool that will tell you regarding your domain, IP, and all other errors and everything in regards to the emailing or the domain. It will tell you the repetition. You just have to select it 90 days or whatever, and then it will tell you the complete data, and then you can take decisions out of it. If your repetition is going down, then you need to take some steps in order to get the repetition better. Otherwise your email will go to the spam folder. Okay, so these are some practical tips that you need to follow. Seed list, this is the list that you will be using in parallel with the main list. Okay, every day you will be using seed list, and for the main list you'll be creating batches. Each batch will have contacts. Okay, and you'll be following the schedule for 4 to 6 weeks. I'll be sharing one of the website that we use for creating the schedule in the description below. You can just use them for creating schedule, and that's it. So this is how you can follow the procedures to warm up the IPs. So let me just summarize everything. You'll be following 2 methods for warming up the IPs. One of them is automated AI bot, and the second one is the manual process. In the manual process, you need to have your main list and you need to have your seed list. Seed list help you to have a full control of the inbox. In the main list, you don't have a full control over the recipient inbox. So that's why you will send some small number initially, and after that you will just keep on increasing the number of emails every day, because if you suddenly send a lot of emails, then the mailbox or consider it as a spam or spam. Okay, the video, if you have any question, any concern, you can share with me in the comments below. I'll try to answer all your questions. Okay, thank you so much, and I appreciate for your time.